I'm Frank Kolb. I'm an attorney in East Haven, longtime friend to John Giordano, and we spent a lot of time together, and he's my guy for claims these days.
So what do you do for John?
I am the general counsel for John's firm, and I do his personal legal work also.
And how long have you and John known each other?
That'll be about 30 years or longer.
That's a long time.
Much longer than 30 years now that I think about it.
How did you meet John? How did that...
I was a public insurance adjuster, and John had a piece of property on the beach in East Haven that suffered a fire loss. So I met John when I was a public adjuster before he was. Well, John was in the state legislature, and he had lost the election, unfortunately. He was toying with the idea of being a public insurance adjuster then. I was not yet an attorney, and I was a public adjuster, and I called him the morning after, and I said, "Are you ready now to go to work?" And he acquiesced, came to work, and got his own license, and worked with me for a little bit, and then he went off on his own, and he's done well from there.
Tell me a little bit more about you. You were a public adjuster, and you became an attorney.
First, I was an insurance adjuster working for the insurance companies, then a public insurance adjuster, and then I became an attorney.
Interesting progression. How'd that happen?
A lot of people do that.
Really?
There's a fair number of people that, from my vintage, that did that. Some of the names I forget now, but it did occur.
I like the term vintage. That's a great way to put it.
Oh, I worked for a firm called General Adjustment Bureau, which is no more, and they were independent insurance adjusters. They worked for any insurance company that would pay their bill who didn't have their own adjusters on the payroll. That's called an independent adjuster, and some of them still exist today, but not as many as before.
What's changed from then to now?
Technology, outlook by the claims people, their handling of the claims, their scrutinization, the policy. Although the insurance contracts themselves have remained essentially the same, the way that the insurance companies approach the adjustment does change. Everything was done by hand then. Now they're done by programs that everybody seems to use the same estimating program. I believe it's an estimating program called Estimate. That no matter whether it's an insurance company, a cleaning company, a public insurance adjuster, they're going to push out the same numbers on. It's a matter of whether or not they agree on the scope of what has to be done. And by scope, I mean, is the wall taken down completely, or is it cleaned and repainted, for example? They may disagree, saying, well, we can clean it and paint it, as opposed to somebody that says, well, the wall's so severely damaged that it can't be and we have to replace it. And that's where your basic disagreements come in the adjustment of a claim.
So,
as to the scope, what has to be done. And then, of course, we go to pricing after that. The insurance companies now, I think, are taking the opportunity to use this software. They're looking at things more closely. But I'm not in the field, so your question may be a little bit misplaced with me. But the problem comes with adjusters, because this is where I get involved. It's the fact that in different areas they have their entry-level people. Not everyone in the insurance company is trained to the same level as others. For instance, if we're talking about an automobile claim, we get an entry-level person who's going to handle the automobile claim before they move up to handling a bodily injury claim. Because a bodily injury claim takes more expertise than just handling a body shop and writing a check to get the car fixed, or determining what the value is on a total loss. So there is a difference. When a loss occurs, as with anything else, there's two sides to it. The insurance company's job and their mandate under the insurance contract is to treat people fairly, in good faith. And you'll never find a contract that has the words in it, good faith. It's implied. You enter into a contract, you're going to act in good faith. Sometimes insurance companies don't act in good faith. And the insurance adjuster from the company, his master is the insurance company, or her master is the insurance company. It's not the insured. The insured needs somebody equally qualified to represent them, such as John Giordano.
So when I'm being programmed, for lack of a better term, by the insurance company marketing, like you're in good hands, I'm under the assumption that they're working for me and they're helping me get whole again. That's not necessarily true.
That's what they would like you to believe, and it's not necessarily true in all cases. Nor am I saying that every insurance adjuster that comes out should be wearing a mask and carrying a sword. But one must understand that from their side of their master is the insurance company. The insurance company's master is their shareholders. On the other hand, the insured has nobody to assist them. That's usually their first claim. They don't have experience with this. They don't have any idea what it's worth. And the services that a public insurance adjuster such as John renders is going to get them more money that will more than satisfy the fee that is charged. He works for his fee, he's entitled to his fee, but overall he will get them things that they paid for that maybe they didn't realize they should have been paid for. But only by bringing it to the attention of the insurance adjuster did they get paid for it. The trained eye of a public insurance adjuster to look for what has to go into the estimate is different than the insured looking at it. You know, if you went to your home and you looked at your walls after they got finished painting, you'd say, wow, this is really good. But then when you sit there for a day and you start watching TV and you go, wait a minute, they missed a spot up there. That spot's going to be found, so to speak, by the public adjuster that won't be found by the insured. Did you know you're entitled to this, or did you know you're entitled to that? Maybe the insurance adjuster from the company didn't tell them that, but the public insurance adjuster will.
Corporations are very dollar conscious. That's really important. And I did some research before I came to talk to you, and it seems like there's a lot of people looking for, they're having problems with claims and insurance companies.
That does happen, and that's why public adjusters, when I was in the business actively, in the state of Connecticut, there were probably only 5 or 7 of us. 10, maybe 10 at the tops. Now there's many, many more. I think that shows the need for a public insurance adjuster. Well, it's under I believe currently it's under the Department of Consumer Protection Division of Insurance.
And usually when you get to that point, you've already had pushback from the insurance company.
Well, my experience with the state of Connecticut Department of Insurance is they do not fill the void and represent the consumer that they should. They have failed miserably over the years. When a complaint goes into the insurance department, at least from what I've seen, they will copy the complaint that comes from the insured, send it to the insurance company and say, please respond. The insurance company responds, the insurance commissioner's office sends it back and says, here's the response. But does the insurance commissioner's office, you can check the number of disciplines online, I haven't, but check. They don't take an active role on behalf of the consumer that I believe they should, nor have they in the history that I have in the business.
Why do they exist?
They exist, they do more than handle claims. I mean, they do licensing. Does a person get licensed as an adjuster, as a claims rep, as an agent? They cover anything to do with insurance in the state. But I think they fail miserably when it comes to handling complaints of consumers. Saying, well, you know, that's a contract dispute, as opposed to, well, we're here to protect you from that. It's like the motor vehicle department. If you say my car didn't get repaired properly, maybe they'd step in and say, hey, wait a minute. You didn't follow the rules here, Mr. Body Shop. You charged $85 an hour when your sign says $75, and they'll go in on those violations. Haven't found the insurance department to do something like that.
As an insurance agent, my understanding is that they get rewarded by having lower volumes of claims.
That's my understanding, but I can't address that. I don't know what the current status is on that.
If I were someone that had a claim and I had a challenge, I would think that after a lot of searching and complaining, I'd probably end up with a guy like you, an attorney, to try to help me.
Well, the attorney is not one who's going to prepare the estimate, visit the site. The skill that is necessary for that goes to the public adjuster. If, by chance, we get to a situation where the insurance company is refusing to adhere to live up to their contractual provisions, that's when it's time to say, okay, let's get a lawyer. But to handle the actual claim dealing with the insurance company, I honestly think that the public insurance adjuster is better prepared to do that.
How would you explain John to me to get me to feel comfortable enough to go do business with him?
I would say, well, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to have a public insurance adjuster. Because you really don't know what to do. You don't know what you're entitled to. Are you capable of writing an estimate? Are you capable of doing an inventory? Are you capable of doing the pricing? Do you know what the requirements are under your insurance policy? Well, this guy does. And this guy is an expert at it. Your 10% or whatever fee you negotiate is well spent. Because in the long run, you're going to come out much better. It's going to be handled quicker, get a better resolution than you could do yourself if you've never had any experience about it. I mean, just think about it. Somebody, whatever your profession is, you go to work and you come home, it's not anything to do with handling an insurance company or insurance loss. Public insurance adjuster is the one who has that expertise to do such.